My name's Gillian. I thought I'd record a little introduction about myself, just so that you can decide whether or not my videos are something you want to look at. I'm going to use words that are probably not 100% accurate because, well, they're the best words that we have. So, to begin with, I reached enlightenment in my 20s. I'm just a normal girl, doing normal things, living a normal life. I just happen to know what happens when we die, the nature of the universe, the fact that I've been around forever, the fact that I've been this life a million times before. I know what God is, more or less, sort of, if you want to put it that way. I just know stuff that other people don't. It's not stuff I can prove. It isn't anything that I can give to anyone else. I've had a really unusual life. I talk to God, He talks to me. It talks to me, she talks to me. Whatever you want to call God. God is just a concept. In all honesty, when we're not incarnate, we don't have a concept of God. The concept of God isn't there. It's hard to explain this, but we don't do God. The word God is a far cry from what we call, how we look at God. It's completely different. It's a human thing. It's not a real thing. Our existence is not what we think. We are sleeping here. We are asleep. We are dreaming of a world which is not real. It's a fun world, mostly, for the most part. It's a sensory world. We get to experience touch and taste and physicality, which we can't do where we come from. We don't have a physical form, so we take one. That's what this world is. Likewise, when it comes to time, these are massive concepts which I'll elaborate further on later, because that's partly what these videos are about. They're about giving this to you for you to do whatever the hell you want with, to be fair. But time is not linear. It doesn't go from A to B. It just goes round and round and round and round and round and round and round, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't ever stop. This life, this place, is a VHS video. Now, for those of you who are really young, I'm sure you can ask your parents what a video is. Go Google it. But basically it's a videotape or a DVD player. Let's say it's a DVD. You can put it in, watch it, take it out, put it back in its box. Next time you put that in, it's going to be identical. It's going to be exactly the same. It's a physical life that we can experience, and it always plays the same way. It goes round and round and round, and each time is always the first time because you can't remember the fact that you've ever done it before. I've been Gillian millions of times, millions and billions of times, probably way more than that. And I get to remember. I didn't remember until I was in my 20s. I've spent the last 20 years coming to terms with everything I know and everything I've remembered. And now I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to do with it all, because I can't prove it to people. I can't, and I wouldn't want to try. I simply want to try and tell you what my reality is like and what it is I've remembered. I can tell you that death is not real. I can tell you that death is like going on a roller coaster that's terrifying, and this particular roller coaster, you don't know that you're getting off the other side, but when you do, it's like that oh my god sort of feeling. We deliberately get on this game and we blindfold ourselves, and then we get off the other side and we go again. Some of us don't want to go again. But, you know, we go round and round and round. We have a set number of lives. It'll always be the same. And at the very, very point of it ending, it stops for a minuscule of a partial second, and it flips back on itself. So all these movies we have about time loops, they're coming out for a reason. Something in our consciousness is manifesting. Something is coming back to all of us. We remember. We don't yet know what it is we remember, but we tend to fixate on concepts that our consciousness knows we need to start considering in order to develop in the direction that we're going in. And the time loop is a concept that you really needed to understand, because that's what our entire physical world here is based on. We go round to just before the destruction of we actually set this up, to the very, very point of our world ending. And just as it's due to, the second it's about to, it turns back and it goes right back to the start again, and it plays over. And we will live like that forever. And that is too much. It's too long for most people to be able to get their heads around. When I tell people and I talk to them, people I'm close to, people I know, and I say, you know, how would you feel about that? And they are horrified. I was horrified the first time I heard about any of it, and it was before I even remembered any of it myself. But my best friend was a member of a cult, and they believed in cyclical time. And when he told me, he said that it repeats perfectly, identically to the time before. That's where me and him always disagreed, because I always can remember that I tweak it at the end of each time I'm Gillian, probably because this is a very interactive life for the universe, because the universe is actually itself incarnated with me. I'm not here alone. None of you are here alone. We just think we are. Every time Gillian dies, I go back in and I play with the settings and I decide what I want to keep and what I don't want to keep. And each time I experience this life, it's different, and I get to remember and I get to keep what I've learned from the time before. I call it a doorway life, because this life leads out. I can leave if I want to. I've started to rethink all of that in this lifetime, because I do actually wonder whether or not I'll ever be able to leave. I've accomplished everything I set out to on numerous occasions, and yet somehow I'm still here. So I have to assume that this life itself isn't going anywhere, and it's the soul that I am within me that gets out and can stay out. But this life is always going to be here. Gillian is a doorway life, because whichever soul is in her, they can always leave by the end of it. This life doesn't work like other lives. It's complicated, and I'm going way too in depth here. But yeah, I have a weird reality. I don't share it because it's not something that other people can wrap their heads around, and I keep forgetting what it was like to not know any of this, and I find it really hard to talk to normal people who have a normal mindset and remember what it feels like to be there, because it's so long ago since I've been there, so I sound completely crazy. But our minds are not what we think. Our life is not what we think. Our world is not what we think. Time is not what we think. And we are about to start remembering. We are about to start waking up. Who you are is not the life that you're living. Where you are is not where you are. You are a viewpoint, a perspective, and currently you're perceiving from inside a body, but that's not you. The mind that you're inside, that you think everything you hear is yourself, is not you. We are effectively a bit like, I was given the analogy early on in my life of, it's like the horse is riding the rider, and we need to swap around. And the only way that you can swap around is by working out who you actually are, where you actually are, and therefore you can start to discern the difference between your will and the life's will. And it's really, really hard if you have no sense of separation between the two. If you can't find yourself, you can't free yourself. And in order to free yourself, you have to find yourself. And to do that, you have to get onto the path. And I call it that. It's a very, very cliched way of calling it, but you know, it's a self-discovery journey where you look at who you are, you consider all your thoughts, you consider what's really yours, and it's difficult because a lot of that stuff is painful, and it's not stuff you're going to want to confront, and it's not stuff you're going to want to think about. It's stuff you've buried, and you've buried it because you didn't want to look at it. But if you don't start being truthful, if you don't start looking at yourself and being honest with yourself, you can't find yourself. You can't start to understand how you work and what you are. And it's only by getting to those places that you can find the universe within you. Jesus was talking about it constantly, you know. Man, know thyself. You are God. You are the universe. You are the Son of... He is the Son of Man. Well, he was being quite literal. He is the Son of God, the Son of Man. Basically, he was the Son of Mary and he was the Son of God. We all are. We are all an incarnation of the universe itself. We are all capable, as he was saying constantly, of doing exactly what he did. He just woke up. Nothing more complicated about it than that. And once you are at one with the universe and you're fully awake, and don't get me wrong, I am not there. I don't want to be there yet. Once you are there, there is nothing here that's beyond your control. There is nothing here that you can't decide by will to manipulate. It is really that simple. And there is just so much to tell you. There is so much that I need to share. And some of it's just going to go whoosh. But it's been in me for a very long time, and it's about time that I spit it out. And it's going to come out in a whole bunch of whoosh. But hopefully you'll find it interesting and you'll stick with it and you'll come back. I'm going to keep telling you my story. Once we get to the end of all of that, I'll start discussing other things in more detail, because there's such a lot to do and such a lot to discuss. Me and my husband, we have a really lovely life. We travel a lot. We like cruises. We have a frugal lifestyle. Most of our spare money goes on travel because we don't have kids. Other than a very expensive cat, we're fairly, simple in our lifestyle. So this is purely about altruistic intention. It's nothing more than that. You can feel free to subscribe if you want, or just check back. I honestly really don't mind one way or another. I won't be one of those little YouTubers going, hit that bell and subscribe. So, there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just not what this is about for me. This will probably appeal to maybe a half a dozen people out there. I don't know who you are, but hopefully, we'll chat at some point, and I'll do some live feeds and we'll have some good conversations. That's really what I'm hoping for out of this. I've been on my own with all of this for my whole life. Every time I'm doing this, I get so nervous that I get a dry mouth. So if there's a lot of water, that's what it's about. But yeah, so we'll see how things go. You guys might absolutely hate me, and if you do, then my apologies. I'm doing the best I can. But hopefully this information, if nothing else, will give you food for thought. The things I'm coming out with will send your heads in different directions and help stimulate growth, and at best that's what it's about. I'm really not trying to tell anyone that they should do what I'm doing. I'm with Jesus on that one. That's not what I'm doing. I'm basically telling you about my path. Everybody has their own reality. Everyone has their own way of looking at things, and what's real for them is different to what's real for everybody else. You can feel free to go and check out my books. I've even got audiobooks out there. I did them myself. I'm very proud of them. Again, I don't think I've sold more than maybe 2 in the last year. I'm not trying to. They weren't done for that reason. In fact, I deliberately don't promote them because I really don't think that the general public are ready for this yet. I don't honestly think that my work is, that my story, that what I know is necessarily good for the mainstream yet. But I'm getting into my camera, I'm going to have a good relationship with it. At some point it would be nice to actually talk to some human beings, maybe. Maybe form some kind of, I don't know, a chat evening somewhere in a hotel or something like that. I haven't really given it any thought. I'm just thinking off the top of my head that it might be nice to actually talk to some real people. If anyone else has any interest, or you have memories of your current life that you don't understand where they came from because you didn't live them, that's heading in my direction. I haven't yet met anybody who remembers what I remember. And everything I'm saying to you, there's no script around me. It's just me babbling, as I would do if you were having a cup of coffee with me. And we'll just see where we go. For now, I'm going to leave it for today. I'm going to edit some of the things I slipped up and said on these videos that I shouldn't say, and I'm going to put it out there for you, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. If you don't, well then thank you for at least having a go, and I'll speak to you next time.